All right, everybody, welcome to Creative Presentation. Happy New Year, happy 2018. I'm very excited to get started with you guys for our course, Creative Presentation. My name is Kristen Heaney, and I'll be your instructor over the course of the next 4 weeks. Anthony, I'm seeing you guys say hello in the chat box, so I can, of course, see your comments coming through. You guys are, I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome. We've got about, I think it was over 30 people registered and only 10 people in the room right now. So some people will probably still continue to come in right as we're beginning here to have a more full group today. But welcome to everybody that is here live. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy, hectic days to be here and to interact with us in a live format. So this is really how our lectures will go once a week. It'll be kind of in this interactive go-to session, if you will. So a lot of times I'll be interacting with you guys through this chat box. Some of you guys are text or typing in there right now. And I do have all of the microphones turned off except for my own, because as you can imagine, it probably can get very noisy with a lot of background things going on. So I just keep you guys muted throughout the go-to sessions. And then if you want to talk over the microphones, I can easily unmute you and we can have a conversation that way. And there's going to be times where I ask you guys to really interact with me much more throughout our day today. So I just want to kind of let you know about that. Again, welcome to Full Sail and to Creative Presentation. I'm excited to get started with you guys. It will be quite a long day. Usually our first week is going to be about 2 hours, maybe a little bit over, and they get a little tiny bit shorter as we move on through the month. But usually this one is kind of where we just get acclimated, know each other a little bit better, and I teach you guys a little bit more about the platform, what to expect, about the course, about the assignments that you have due this week. So it does take a little bit of time today. But you do have the recording. If you miss anything and you want to go back and revisit that, excuse me, I will post that link for you guys shortly after our session ends today at 3 o'clock. So give me a couple of hours. It takes some time to render and upload to get it up into YouTube, and then I will send it out to you guys via an announcements in the FSO platform. So today's agenda, okay? So here's what we will be covering today. And hello, everybody that's coming in here. Welcome. Come on into the room and join us, please. You're welcome to be here. But our agenda today is a little bit extensive. So I'll first talk a little bit about why creative presentation. So the majority of you guys, this is your very first class at Full Sail, and it's your very first experience here. So you might be wondering, why are we starting with this particular class? So I wanted to talk about that for a moment. I'll do some introductions of not only myself, but also I'm going to invite you guys to introduce yourselves a little bit if you're feeling up to it. I'll talk about the FSO online learning platform, which is where we will interact quite a bit. That's where all your assignments will be submitted. That's where a lot of messaging happens. The discussion boards will happen in there. So it's really good to get acclimated with the FSO platform. The policies and procedures of the college, and of course, our course as well. And then I'll talk quite a bit about the assignments you guys have due in week 1. I've received a couple of questions, not too many yet, but a couple of questions about the assignments. So I'll go over the assignments. I'll show you some examples from past students in my courses so you can see what it is that I'm expecting that you turn in next week. And then a little bit about the content of our first week, which is all about getting to know our audience. And then finally a wrap up. And then guys, I will stop periodically for questions as well. So if things start to come up, I'll stop and let you guys ask them questions and we can get those addressed throughout, throughout our afternoon here. I did say before I started recording, I have been sick this week. It's been all a sore throat and a cough. So I'm hoping I can talk for 2 hours today. And then I have another lecture this evening. So I'm a little worried. So if you hear me saying excuse me a lot, I do apologize, guys. Usually I don't sound so raspy when I'm talking. So that's our agenda. Again, guys, thank you, Matthew. I appreciate that. So that's going to be the agenda we're going to follow today. Jacob as well, thank you. So I wanted to get you guys to just kind of look at your go-to training control panel for a moment. A lot of you guys are really quickly getting the hang of interacting through the chat box. And I do check that. I mean, it's right in front of me as I'm talking right now. But if you guys would, just to kind of keep things moving forward. I know you want to talk and get to know each other, and I'll give you guys some time for networking today. But if you could just kind of keep it based, kind of focused on what we're going over here, or any responses that I'm asking for, or questions that you might have. Sometimes discussions, as you could imagine, like in a live classroom, sometimes go off on a tangent, and it's a little bit distracting to see the conversations going through, and then also give the lecture material at the same time. So I can see you guys. I'm not ignoring you, but I will be going through the material and kind of pausing for questions as well. Over in the control panel, you will also see a list of attendees. So right now I can see a list of 12 attendees, including myself. And when you guys want to talk, or if I invite you to talk at that point and you want to raise your hand, there's a little hand icon if you want to raise that. I do have to scroll through the list. So if I'm not coming to you immediately, if you want to just send me a quick note in the chat box and let me know your hand is up, and then I'll come over to you. And if you have a microphone, we can talk over the microphones as well. So get to know that control panel based, on your side of it. It's a little bit different on my side. There's a lot more options on my side. But that's really how you're going to interact today and throughout our time here in the next month. Okay, so guys, I talked about why creative presentation, we haven't talked about it. I mentioned I'm going to talk about why creative presentation as your first class. So I think this is a fantastic way to kind of jumpstart your college education. I think there is nothing more important than effective communication and communicating your ideas professionally. And of course, CRP will not be the only time in your time here at Full Sail where you're making presentations. So we wanted to give you guys a great foundation on how to communicate your ideas professionally and effectively, okay? And that's what this whole class is going to be about. Communication is going to be essential. It's going to be vital for each and every degree program, each and every industry that you're going into, okay? So really it's kind of breaking everything down, maybe kind of erasing everything that you've learned in the past, and really showing you how to effectively communicate to a particular audience. That's really what this whole course is all about if you were to summarize it, okay? So that's why we start out with creative presentation. So I've been here about a year, and about a year ago, I saw this great post on the Full Sail Instagram site. If you follow their social media account, I'm sure a lot of you guys do. But it is the Full Sail motto, and it says, if you're serious about your dream, we'll take your dreams seriously. And I think over the last year, I can definitely say that I've seen a lot of truth to this statement. So really, guys, it's up to you to show up and be the driving force of your education. Really, you're going to be the ones that are moving this train forward, and we're all here just cheering you on and supporting you and getting you to that finish line. But you have to be the first person that is serious about it, the one that is your advocate, the one that is pushing through and doing all of the hard work and the time and the energy. And we will be right here behind you, supporting you with that. So I thought that was a good way to kick off our class today. So a little bit about me and who I am and how I came to be in front of you guys here in 2018. So I am, again, Kristen Heaney. I am a creative presentation associate course director. I teach this course and another course called Professional Communication and Presentation. That's the other lecture I have a little bit later on this evening. So this course right here, CRP, is the one that I have been teaching for about a year, actually a little over a year here at Full Sail. I come from a different kind of college setting prior to coming to Full Sail, but I've been here for a year teaching this course. It's a wonderful course. It's a great group of students. Online college is very difficult. It's very challenging, but it does come with a lot of advantages as well, and we'll talk about that. So this is my contact information. That's my email address. That is my number to the office, the Full Sail faculty office, and that's my extension 3421. But I do, as a huge advantage from Full Sail, I do get to work from home. So right now I'm actually doing this lecture from my home office, which means I'm not at my office phone number. So I've provided you guys an alternate phone number. It's a Google Voice number. It's listed in the FSO platform. And I actually prefer that you contact me at that number. I just don't put it up here in the keynote slides, because I do put my slides and my presentation up on the internet. So I'd rather not let that get out. It comes directly into my cell phone, but I do give you guys access to it, and you can contact me at that number, either a phone call or a text, from 8 a.m. Eastern Time to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. And that really is probably going to be the best, quickest way to get in touch with me. Again, it comes right into my cell phone. My cell phone's always on me. I'm sure everybody is the same way too. But you guys definitely have access to that. And I actually prefer that you contact me at that number. Instead of this phone number here, it's going to be a little bit tougher for me to get back to you, especially on my work from home days. So a little bit more about me. That is these two little boys are my most important job. Those are my two sons, Joey and Jacob. They're 10 and 12, almost 11 and 12 and a half. My God. We've had a wonderful Christmas. They got some cool dirt bikes and drum sets and all great things that, preteen boys like to have. And it's just been a wonderful time. And they're off of school right now, just lounging around the house. But that's my most important job. But I'm also obviously an educator at heart. Prior to coming to Full Sail, I taught at two local colleges here in Central Florida. I am from Orlando. I've been living here my entire life. But prior to Full Sail, I taught at Valencia College and Seminole State College, and I taught intro to oral communication and interpersonal communication prior to teaching creative presentation here at Full Sail. So I'm a graduate of the University of Central Florida, which I am so excited. I just got home yesterday from a hugely fun trip to Atlanta to watch them win the Peach Bowl against Auburn. So I'm a huge UCF fan, love college football, very proud of my college. So I'm a graduate of UCF. I graduated in 2001 with a degree in political science. And then I went to Rollins College, which is in Winter Park, Florida, a little suburb here in Orlando. And I graduated from there in 2003 with a Master of Arts in Corporate Communication and Technology. That's just a little bit about my educational background. I worked in the insurance industry for a while on the corporate side with the communications, and just decided that it wasn't for me. If you've ever worked in insurance, you probably understand that. It's not the most exciting, fulfilling of industries. At least it wasn't for me. For some it is. But really just my heart kept calling me to go into education. And that's when I decided to make a huge change and started teaching. So that kind of brings me full circle here to Full Sail. And now I've been teaching this class and my other class for about a year, and it's been wonderful. So that's kind of my little bit of short story of my background and how I've got to be here with you guys today. So here is my office hours contact information. They're a little bit odd, as you can see, but hopefully you'll kind of recognize that it benefits a lot of you guys, especially if you're not on the East Coast, because I am available to you in the evenings if you need to contact me or if we need to schedule a meeting, after your traditional 5 o'clock Eastern time hours. I am available until 8 p.m. on 9 p.m. on Tuesdays. Monday and Wednesday I'm available until 8 p.m. and on Tuesdays until 9 p.m. And then on Thursday and Friday, I'm the early bird in the office from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. But again, guys, just reach out to me on that Google Voice number or, through the FSO platform, and I will get back to you pretty darn quickly. So that's my office hours and my contact information. As I mentioned, you can contact me through the FSO platform. This big orange arrow right here is kind of pointing to where you can locate that. That's where I will do a lot of connection and communication with you, especially about your assignments. I want to show one portion here to you guys. So if you kind of just started, getting to know the FSO platform, you will see under the messages, you have feedback and you have messages. So if I happen to send you some feedback information, it's because it's attached to a particular assignment. Maybe it didn't receive properly. Maybe I can't open the file, and I'll just kind of send you a quick message there. And if you wanted to draft a message completely, independent of your assignments, you can also do that as well. But that's a great way to contact me. I have email alerts come in every time I receive an FSO message as well. So I'd actually like to ask you guys to do the same thing. I would like you to go in at some point today and manage your FSO account. I would absolutely love for you guys to add your pictures. It really helps me to get to know you. All of a sudden, you're not just kind of a blank, the blank screen with a name there. I get to put a face with a name, and that really helps me. I only get to know you guys for a very short amount of time, but I really try very hard to get to know you a little bit better in our time together. So please be sure to set your notifications to be emailed every time something comes through the platform. Maybe a grade is posted. Maybe a comment has come up within the discussion board. Yours looks a little bit different than mine, but please go in there and set your notifications to be sure that you're not missing any important communications from me or your classmates. and also set your time zone. I will talk about time zones in 1 second, but this is going to be essential because the time zones for due dates are all going to be based on Central Florida time, which is where Full Sail is, which is where I am. And that's going to be the Eastern time zone. All right. So let's talk a little bit about time zones for a moment. As I mentioned, you guys need to set your time zones. So due dates are going to come up, and this FSO platform is very unforgiving. At 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that is usually your due date. Okay, usually it's going to be on Sundays, but since we're in the January month and things are a little hectic, we gave you an extension on those. But traditionally, Sundays at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time is when your assignments are due, posted within the platform. And you'll notice that once it clicks over to midnight, it shuts down and you are not able to submit your assignment. You actually have to contact me. I manually reopen the assignment there. So it takes a little bit more time. People get a lot of stress over that, and I don't want you guys to be stressed out. So just be sure that if you're over in California Pacific time, your due date is actually 8:59 p.m. Okay, it doesn't give you an extra 3 hours. So that's why I'm asking you to set your time zones, if you will. Okay, so that's going to be very important. So I actually want to take a couple of minutes and maybe give my voice a rest because it's going to be a long afternoon. I want to find out more about you guys. So I would love for you guys just to kind of just take a moment or two. If you're feeling up to it, if you're feeling brave, talking over the microphones, I would love to hear a little bit from you guys, if you will, maybe about 4 or 5 students max at this point. But I want to know a little bit more about you. So tell me, what is your name? Where are you from? What's your degree program, or what degree program are you entering into? And why is this your path? Why did you choose this option? So if there's anyone that would like to speak, if you want to raise your hand, I will unmute you and turn on your microphone. The first one I saw is Casey. So Casey, let me unmute you. Hey, Casey.
Casey.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead.
Yeah, my name's Casey Verts. I actually started my college path at Ashford University as psychology major,
Okay.
and I just didn't like it. It was boring to me, and I'm a YouTuber in my spare time, and I kept seeing the ads for Full Sail and digital cinematography, and I decided, well, that sounds a little better to me. And so, yeah, I decided to jump in, and after a year at Ashford, decided to leave that behind, come over here and try the digital cinematography, and that's where I'm at today.
That's awesome, Casey. So you changed your mind, right? You went down a path and you changed your mind and you're on the right track now. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So did you mention it or did I miss it? Where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Illinois.
Illinois. Gotcha. Great. Well, I'm glad you're here with us, Casey. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Is Casey the only one that's willing to share? Casey, thank you. Is anyone else willing and ready to introduce themselves? Jacob. I have my own Jacob. Go ahead, Jacob. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead.
All right. I'm Jacob. I'm from North Carolina, born in Georgia.
Okay.
I've always been passionate about audio and music, so I want to major in audio production.
Okay.
I've always seen the ads of Full Sail, and I've been looking into it. It made me want to go here, so I'm very happy to be here.
That's great. Starting off the new year with a really huge, huge accomplishment that you're here. That's wonderful. Welcome, Jacob. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let me see. Let's see. Emily Ann, coming to you. Emily, I'm not seeing a working microphone yet. Is your microphone on? There you are.
Can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead, please.
Hi. Okay, so I actually was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, but I live in Southern Illinois now.
Okay.
I'm majoring in entertainment business bachelor's, and my husband originally found Full Sail. He's going for audio production, and our dream is to open our own recording studio over here in Southern Illinois. So I can manage the business side and he can do the audio side.
So you're both enrolled right now at Full Sail?
Yes, he's actually into his 3rd class now, and I'm just starting my 1st.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. That's going to be a big help having someone kind of guide you through that process. That's wonderful.
Yes, definitely.
Do you go by Emily or Emily Ann?
Either, really. It's whatever your preference is.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, guys, great. So I'm not seeing any other hands. Thank you to those that have shared with us. Oh, wait, I see one more. Dwan, let me see if I can get you through here. Dwan, are you there?
Hey, can you hear me?
I do. Did I say your name correctly?
You did, and 100, like you got 1,000,000 brownie points.
A million brownie points. That's awesome. Well, tell us about yourself, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Excited to meet everybody. This is my first time having any type of college experience. I'm originally from Greensboro, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Graduated high school 2010, joined the military, did 6 years, got out. But my passion, my drive, everything about me is just music, from writing to engineering to producing. So I finally took the step to come to Full Sail. Nice. And so far I'm extremely excited.
That's amazing. So which branch of the military were you in?
I was active duty Army.
Army, that's great. Thank you for so much for that service. Jacob saying the same thing in the chat box. So I'm so excited that you're here. What a major step for you. That's great. Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, I look forward to networking with each and every one of you from whatever degree plan y'all are doing. You know, art is art. So I'm really excited. Make sure everybody keeps in touch. Reach out to me.
Absolutely, and we're going to do that in about 2 seconds here. So you're gonna have that come true right now. Thank you, Juan. All right, and so Christina, I'm coming to you. Christina, you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. My name is Christina. Of course, I have 3 kids. I'm kind of stay-at-home mom right now. I went to college to get my degree in early childhood education and decided that was not the path for me. So I'm now in business. So this is my first class. So
that's great. So what made you decide that early childhood education was just not for you? What was that?
See, I went and I finished, and I went to get my CDA, and that's like your first little certificate thing.
Okay.
And and then I went to work, and then I was like, no.
No, thanks.
This is not my path. I thought it was, and I love kids, and I've always wanted to be, I wanted to be a mom, and so I was like, yes, this is my path. I'm going to be a teacher because, I love kids. And I'm like, yeah, the mom path is for me, not the teacher path.
It's hard to love on other people's little kids some days, isn't it? Thank you, Christine. I'm so glad you're here with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Last one here is Austin. Austin.
Hi.
Hey.
So I'm Austin. This is my first time doing any kind of college work online.
Okay.
And I'm going for the graphic design bachelor's.
Okay.
And my passion is working with Photoshop, creating artwork using taking real photos and manipulating to be more like fantasy or sci-fi.
Nice.
And I don't know how people are able to look at our profiles or whatnot, but in my profile, I have a link to my portfolio.
Oh, cool. I think so that's going to be like, Austin, not to cut you off, but like that's going to be the cool part of why we're in here in the go-to trainings, because I'm teaching right now 3 different sections of this class, and you can only really interact in the FSO platform with your section. But once we're in here, you guys can network with other students taking the same course, but you might not necessarily see them within like your discussion boards online. So that's the great part of being in here. It gives you an extra chance to get to know other students at Full Sail as well. So you might want to share that here too. But thank you, Austin. All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and close the microphones down for now. Thank you for everyone that shared with all of us. But I do want to give you guys an opportunity right now to do some networking yourselves, because like I just mentioned, you might see each other here in the go-to session, but you might not be in the same section of creative presentation. So you might not recognize some of these names because they're not in your class within the platform. So this is a great opportunity, especially for you guys being online. You don't get that enriching classroom experience. I'm trying to mimic that as best as I can with the technology that we have here. So I want to give you guys about 5 minutes. As you can see in the chat box, there is a drop-down menu, and it says "to" at the very bottom. And you can drop down where it says you can send a message to the entire audience, or you can send an individual message, okay? And so all of the people that are in the room right now are listed here. So what I would love for you guys to do is just maybe pick 2 people on that drop-down list and send them a quick message, just introducing yourself, just saying what you're doing here at Full Sail. If you want to exchange contact information just to have someone else's contact information, that's a great way to do it. But let's go ahead and rejoin right around 1:30. And you guys can chat amongst each other, amongst yourselves, and we will rejoin at 1:30 to continue going here. So just chat within the chat box to each other, and exchange information and get to know each other a little bit more. And I'll be quiet so you guys can do that. Okay, guys, go ahead and wrap up your conversations and we'll keep on moving. I see a lot of gamers. I usually have a lot of gaming students, so I'm seeing that's continuing into the 2018 year. That's great. So wrap up your conversations and we'll keep on moving. Aziz, I'm agreeing with you. I think there's about to start some kind of a console war in here in our go-to session, guys. All right, so hopefully you've talked a little bit with your classmates and you've gotten to know each other a little bit better. Maybe you've exchanged information. Networking is going to be essential for you guys in your careers, in your education careers. Here at Full Sail, I can tell you that networking is how I landed my job at Full Sail myself. So it's going to be essential to stay in touch with people in your industry who you've gone to college with because you never know where connections might lie. Okay, so keep those networking opportunities open. So I want to keep moving forward because this is a very busy day. So I want to talk a little bit about expectations, and this is where I ask you guys to interact with me on this section. So I want to first go over what it is that I'm expecting of you guys, and then I'm going to turn the tables and let you guys tell me what you're expecting of me. So I'll go first and tell you guys a little bit about my expectations and what I'm looking for this month as your instructor to help you be successful in this class. So first and foremost, I really am expecting you guys to approach our course and your classmates with a very positive attitude and an open mind. This is one of the core classes, and sometimes, students don't necessarily like to have to go through the core classes, and I totally get that, but they're here for a reason. They're very important. They're teaching you a lot of foundation work that's going to apply to each and every one of your degree programs. So be sure that you're putting your best effort in here. You're coming to each class, each communication, each assignment with a very positive attitude, and you're trying to just absorb everything that you can right now and have an open mind about what else is there that I can possibly learn from this particular course. So I would definitely appreciate it if you guys have that type of an attitude. Second is to ask me questions, okay? I think I'm pretty approachable. I really don't mind when you ask me questions. I don't think there is ever a dumb question, but I do think that there is an appropriate time about when to ask your questions, okay? What does that mean? That means ask me questions before the due date, okay? Don't come to me after the due date telling me you don't understand what's going on, you need clarification about this. There is so much time between our lecture and due dates where there is ample time to be asking me questions, and I'm happy to give you answers, show you examples, chat with you, have a meeting with you, a go-to session with you, but the appropriate time is well prior to the due date, okay? So I hate for you guys to show up, not turn assignments in, do poorly with the grades, and say, I just didn't understand, okay? So ask me, make sure you're taking the initiative and you're asking me well ahead of the due dates. Take action in your education, guys. Be proactive. You are online students, okay? So I don't want you feeling like you're on some deserted island with no help, no assistance. You have a ton of support. A lot of the trick of this month is really getting you acclimated and finding out where to reach out for assistance. A lot of times that's going to be me. Sometimes I can't answer every question, but I can get you to the place that can answer the question. A lot of times that has to do with technical questions. You don't want me answering those, but I can get you to the resource, which is FSO support, that can help you with that. But be proactive in your education. I can't come and reach out to you. I can't see you. I can't read your body language and your facial expressions to know that something is really troubling you or going on. I need you guys to reach out to me and communicate with me, letting me know that you need help or that you need direction. So be proactive, be the one that takes the lead. Also, you're going to get out of this experience what you put into it. So here's what I'm looking for. I want you to show up every single week with your best attitude and your best work. I want you to show me and every single one of your classmates just how capable you truly are, because you are. This is a phenomenal university. A massive amount of creativity is just oozing through this university. Okay, you're here for a reason. Show us why you're here and what you're capable of. I do expect you to listen to me as your instructor, listen to your peers. Feedback is going to be a huge part of not only this course, but all of your courses. And the feedback isn't given to you in any way to make you feel bad, to make you feel like you've done a poor job. It's there to help you improve, and it's there to help you move to the next level. Okay, so feedback is something that is a huge part of my job, and it's always going to be done in a constructive way. All right, you can expect that of me. But there are times where maybe you fell short of this particular requirement, and I'm gonna highlight that and mention that to you and show you how you could have done something different to improve upon that particular requirement or skill. Lastly, I expect that you have a lot of respect for the creative diversity that's surrounding you. Okay, again, this is one of the most creative places I have ever worked, seen, or been to. It's amazing being on campus, being around students, being with the other faculty, the knowledge, the experience that they have. You are now privy to all of that. Okay, so make sure that you're very respectful. Even though maybe you don't agree with it, it's not your thing. Be respectful of that creative diversity that is surrounding you. Okay, so that's really my expectations of you guys over the course of the next 4 weeks. So like I said, I'm going to turn the tables on you, and I want to hear from you what you expect of me. So I'm going to give you a moment to type a couple of things in the chat box of what it is that you can think of that you're expecting from me as your instructor this month. So tell me, lay it on me. Tell me what you're expecting. Any expectations? Do you guys have no expectations of me? I'm not seeing anything yet. Yes, Austin, type them into the chat box. Yes, please use the chat box right now. Anthony, you don't know. No expectations. Jacob, Austin, you have none. Oh, guys, come on. You've got to have some expectations. I know you do. What do you expect of your instructors here at Full Sail? Okay, Austin, thank you. Some new it went up on the thing. Hold on one second. Let me scroll down. New experiences require an open mind. Okay. Matthew, you honestly don't know what to expect. Emily, really keeps moving. Really just being able to contact you easily. I've been on online classes before and had problems with this, but other than that, just guidance. Emily, a good point about that one. That's why I give you guys that Google Voice number. I can imagine, I never did online classes as an undergrad and in grad school. I always did campus classes, probably because I'm ancient and that was 20 years ago. But you kind of miss that one-on-one being able to stay after class or attend office hours. So definitely, I want you guys to feel like you can get in touch with me. And I do try to get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Ashley, same thing, available when we need you. I will definitely try to be. Anthony, to give us the tools to succeed. Anthony, hopefully I will be doing that for you this week between myself and then the tools that the college provides for you. Hopefully you'll feel that you have everything you need to succeed. I will say this though, I know you guys are all operating with different capabilities because you don't have your launch boxes yet. So I will try and work with you as best I can to kind of show different variations of how assignments have been created. Some of you have a laptop, some of you are just operating off of your phone. So they've tried to get really good about doing a mobile option and showing that we actually, as instructors, have completed assignments on our own to see what that experience is like behind the scenes, to see what you guys are going through. So please just, sometimes I don't know exactly what it is that you're using to complete your assignments, but if I know, I can kind of help guide you in the right direction and give you resources to help you with that. Let's see. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of to be helpful, easy to contact. Okay, great. Matthew, you're saying you did a whole semester before in 2 weeks. That's incredible. Let's see here. Okay, guys, so I'm seeing some introductions as well. So welcome if you guys are coming into the class just now. Thank you for those that included their expectations of me. So I will hopefully meet your expectations this month. So part of the things, just to kind of wrap this section up, is that I will always be there to lend you guys a helping hand and guide you as best I can in completing your assignments and the overall objectives of the course. I am available for consult. You just have to, sometimes we need to contact each other and schedule an appointment, just as you would if we had face-to-face office hours. I'm happy to do that with you. And if you have a quick question, you guys can always shoot that to me through the Google Voice number or over the platform, whichever you prefer. And then lastly, I'll always give you feedback and constructive criticism in a timely fashion. Usually it's within 7 days of when the assignment closes. Many times it's much earlier than that. So we have the grading deadlines to work with, but I will try to get back with you guys as soon as I possibly can. So thank you guys for participating in that. I appreciate it. Okay, so moving on, let's talk a little bit about professionalism. Some of you guys have completed this within the platform. If you haven't, you need to get into the platform and complete the professionalism activity, okay? This goes along with your GPS points. It's 10% of your grade. So if there at any point, and this is something that very, very seldom comes up, there's something that is kind of going against the professionalism standards of the college, you can have points deducted from your professionalism score. In my other class, I deduct points for not attending the go-to sessions. In my CRP class, which is the one you guys are attending right now, I don't do that for this one. But if you're consistently late, or maybe you're engaging, in some unprofessional language or activity with other students, that can affect your professionalism grade quite negatively. So you want to be sure that you are interacting with your classmates and with me with the highest levels of professionalism. This really sets you guys up for success, just interacting in your industries, okay? That's going to be expected in any industry, as high levels of professionalism. So everybody starts with a grade of 100 once you've completed this activity, and then it can go down from there. So strive as hard as you can, do your best to keep it at 100 all month long, okay? So be sure you complete that activity as soon as possible. All right, copyright. So this is going to be something that is important. I do expect that you guys give credit where credit is due for each and every one of your assignments. So, but I don't expect a very formal APA style reference sheet, bibliography, works cited, because you guys haven't gone through English composition yet. But at the end of your assignments, if you would please also submit a reference page or something that shows your resources. Usually it's going to be a link to a website where you've potentially used an image, or maybe you've used some music of some sort. You need to give that credit where credit is due. Same if you've created some work and someone used it without giving you credit, it would be very upsetting, potentially in violation of copyright rules. So you want to be sure that you're avoiding those. And as we start moving towards the completion of your final project, which I'll talk a little bit about in a minute, I'll give you some resources like Creative Commons, CompFight, places where you can pull images that are copyright free to include within your assignments. But you need to be sure that you're providing a reference page for each of your assignments as we start moving through here. All right, college level writing standards. Okay, guys, so as you can imagine, there is some writing that is going to be required of you. Your first major assignment this week is a writing assignment. And so I am looking at your writing skills, all right? Some of you guys have exceptional writing skills. Some of you might need a little bit of help, which is absolutely fine. We do have a writing center here at Full Sail. And if I do recommend that you visit the writing center or contact them, please don't take that as insulting. I want you to succeed, and I want to refer you to a resource that could help you with that. But I am expecting that you have completed spell check before each and every one of your submissions, that the capitalization is correct, punctuation, grammar, all of that should be correct, especially with a writing assignment. So I mention this to all of my classes every month. I do have one pet peeve that comes up all of the time, and it's a very small one, but I don't know what is happening in the world. It won't go away. So can any of you guys guess what that could potentially possibly be? What is my grammar pet peeve? What do you think it might be? And you can answer in the chat box. What do you think it would be? Punctuation, jargons, run-on sentences. It's my pet peeve, Matthew. Apostrophes. We're trying to guess my pet peeve right now for grammar. None of you have guessed it yet. Emojis. Not yet. So, okay. Please, guys, please, I'm begging you, before you submit an assignment, and you're typing the letter I, can you please just hit the shift before you hit the I, so it's a capital I? I am so sick and tired of seeing the lowercase I by itself, all lonely and sad, because it really should be a capital I. It's so ridiculous. Sorry, guys. That was it. That was all it is. And it keeps happening, and I don't understand why this is such a big deal to me, but it's really, I don't know. Never mind. Austin, yes, you mean like wow. So yes, capital I's. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you in advance. I appreciate you guys using that. Thank you. So that's my pet peeve when it comes to grammar. So if you guys see a comment, if there's a lot of lowercase i's by themselves, I might say, watch the lowercase i's, please. So that's my pet peeve. And you'll start to see that your instructors all have these weird quirks about us, so that's my weird quirk. I'm sure I have a million others, but that's one of them that I'll mention to you guys. So moving on. Okay, so lectures. All right, so this is officially your first lecture. So our online lectures are going to be actually on Tuesdays. I know it's Wednesday right now, but you guys will normally have our go-to sessions on Tuesdays from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern time. All right, so this Wednesday one is just because we're kind of getting back into the swing of things with the break here. I will record each and every one of these lectures. So usually within, I would say probably within a couple of hours, you'll have the link to the recording by Tuesday evenings traditionally. Today you will have it by Wednesday evening, but that's when our lectures will be. It will be held once per week. If you do not or cannot attend it live, that's fine, but you do need to know that you are responsible for this material, and you do have to complete the little mark as completed button in this activity within the platform, and I'll show that to you in a moment. So like I said, if you can't attend live, that's fine, but you are responsible for the material, so you either need to watch the video or attend the live sessions this week. Also, each week you will have assignments. Sometimes there's multiple assignments, sometimes there's just one that you're responsible for, but there are going to be items that you're responsible for. Some are weighted towards your final grade, some are not weighted towards your final grade, but you are required to complete each and every one of the assignments that is due that particular week. I traditionally only have the assignments for that particular week open at that time. I don't open the entire course because this course really builds on each other. So I'd rather you complete the assignment, obtain the feedback, move on to the next one, as opposed to opening the entire course to complete, very, very quickly. If something is going on in your life, something with scheduling, maybe something going on with the military, those of you that are in the military, that's kind of a one-on-one it's a one-on-one situation and decision to make there. But traditionally, the assignments are going to be open that week. Matthew is asking, do you get notifications of some sort of people that watch the recording? Matthew, I do not. So it's kind of like an honor system thing. I post them on YouTube, and it's not listed. So I give you the unlisted link. So I can see how many views the video has had, but I don't know exactly who has seen it. But if you guys, you approach me with questions that I've clearly gone over in the go-to session, that's going to be one of my first questions. Well, have you watched the go-to session? So more than likely, that's where a lot of questions will be answered. It's a lot of vital information, so that you should be watching that each week. But to answer your question, Matthew, no, I do not have a list of who has watched it at this point. All right, so submitting your assignments to the platform. All right, so there's two ways to submit assignments into the platform. And this is where you should be uploading everything. You shouldn't be sending me assignments unless we've talked off the side and I've asked you to send it directly to my email. You should be submitting all of your assignments within the FSO platform. So here is kind of a screenshot, if you will, of what it looks like to submit an assignment here. You've got this completion box and it's kind of like a little drag and drop section. So as you can imagine, you can only upload files. So if you've completed an assignment using Word, Microsoft Word, or PowerPoint, something that actually gives you a file to upload. You can just drag and drop it, no problem. But a lot of you guys might be using a web-based program to complete your assignments. A couple of examples are Adobe Spark, Prezi, YouTube. Those are going to give you a website, all right, or a link. You obviously can't drag and drop the website up into the FSO platform. So it's fine if you want to use a web-based program. I love a lot of them. But in order for you to submit your work, what I need you to do is to create a Word document or another text-based document. And within that document, you need to include your name and a link to that website and upload it here in the drag and drop section of the platform. That's how the platform will give you like that completed check mark. I will then open that file and then go to the link to grade your assignment. Okay, so that's one of the things that comes up quite a bit in the first week here as you're approaching your deadline later on. So that's something that you need to be aware of if you're using a web-based program and how to submit it into the platform. Another thing to be aware of is file naming conventions. So as you guys are starting to accumulate more and more classes and coursework, you want to come up with a filing system. And this is going to be pretty standard in your time here at Full Sail. Most instructors use these file naming conventions. So it's good to get into the habit of it now. So you want to name all of your files like this: last name _, first name _ assignment name. All right. So if there's an example right now, Heaney _ Kristen _ 1.4. Okay. So just kind of get that in mind, get that into practice now so that you've got a really good filing system as you start to build up a lot of your work. Because a lot of this is something, you know, in other classes you can put in a portfolio and you want to be able to easily access that at some point. But that's what I'm looking for with your file naming conventions. All right, feedback. So once you guys start submitting your assignments, you will get feedback and a grade from me. So please don't just look at the grade. I take a lot of time and energy to really look through your assignments and give you personalized feedback. All right, so be sure that you're looking in there. Sometimes that feedback is typed. Sometimes that feedback is a recorded audio file of me talking to you. So be sure you're absorbing that feedback and you're making any changes moving into the next assignment as well. All right, so I'm just kind of showing you guys around the platform right now a couple of things that you might want to note. But here in the description of our course under the About section, it's just kind of a little, just a general overview about our particular course. But you've also got some downloads in here as well. So here's our course syllabus. I think they've actually just updated this for 2018. I haven't updated my keynote presentation. I apologize. You've got the FSO support card here, which I'll show you, and then the bonus material as well. So those are going to be some important documents. This one right here is the FSO support card. Again, I get a lot of questions about how to handle technical issues. If I can handle it, I will. More than likely, I will attach this card so that you know who to contact, which is FSO support. And they are the ones that are going to be a huge resource for you guys, especially when it comes to FSO. If you're having any kind of login issues, if your Office 365 is acting up or you can't get through there, they are going to be the ones to help you with that. They're trained. They have the ability to kind of come into your screen and screen share. I don't have that ability on my end. But if you're looking for technical support, these are your go-to resources right here. They're open almost 24 hours a day. They're open Monday to Sunday, 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. So please be sure you contact them if you have any questions about technology. All right, so guys, also in the platform, if you go and click on once you upload your picture, which hopefully you guys all will do, you'll scroll down here and you'll find some resources. First is going to be your Safari Books resource, which is going to be 2 books for our course. It's Resonate and Slideology, so you'll have access to your books right there within the platform. And you also have access to something called lynda.com, which is a huge just database of tutorials, just professionally done tutorials on how to do a multitude of programs. Say you've never worked in PowerPoint before, and this is a great way to kind of get up to speed on the basics of PowerPoint, just as an example there. But you do have access to lynda.com as a student with Full Sail. This is the Connect site. I absolutely suggest that you guys get to know the Connect site. A lot of news and happenings and things that students need to know are on this site, along with student resources as well. And that's where you can contact student advisors. The FSO support card is here. Your online student liaisons can be contacted here. So that's going to be a great resource for you as well. All right, so these are the books listed under Safari Books. This is Resonate and Slideology, both by Nancy Duarte. These are our textbooks for this course. I do use them quite a bit, so the readings each week are something that you need to accomplish, and this is where you can find those textbooks. And this is also just a quick snapshot of lynda.com. As I mentioned, you guys, if you're wanting to just start to delve into Photoshop, you could start learning some Photoshop tutorials here. Really, a lot of the presentation software, Keynote, PowerPoint. Maybe you want to do a Prezi tutorial in here. If you want to start to get to know that, learn something new, lynda.com is a phenomenal resource for it, and it actually gives you a certificate of completion when you're done with that. So you might want to go and start checking that out here. So before I move on, do we have any questions about some of the FSO items that I've shown you thus far? Any questions at all right now? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions yet. So, oh, here's one. Using Lynda, what would you recommend us to look at for this course? Jacob, I would say, I think one of my other instructors has actually made a playlist that I can send out to you guys. I would recommend, if you're not familiar with a presentation software like PowerPoint or Keynote or Prezi or Google Slides, that you would look into doing a tutorial for one of those, because I'm going to give you guys a little bit of overview information in the next couple of minutes about your final project for this course, and it's going to require that you use some kind of presentation software. So hopefully, Jacob, that answers your question. All right, guys. So I'll stop periodically to see if you have any more questions, but I want to talk to you a little bit about your final project. This is a really big overview here. We have a lot to learn between now and then, but if you're like me, I like to know what I'm working towards. I'd like to kind of know what I'm getting into, what I'm working towards, what to expect over the next couple of weeks. So I want to talk to you about your final project. Again, this is not due until the end of the month. This is what we're working towards, okay? So first and foremost, I want you to kind of throw out everything that you've really learned about speeches and presentations. Just throw it out the window, because we're going to move towards more of a TED Talk style of speaking, where your audience is the central focus and the hero of the presentation, all right? So if you've never watched TED Talks, you're gonna get really familiar with them this week, because that's really what your whole first assignment is all about, being an audience member for TED Talks. So your final project, guys, what you're going to start working on is pitching yourself as a recent Full Sail graduate, okay? You're kind of picturing yourself about 2.5 years down the line, and you've just graduated from your degree program. So you're moving on to the next phase of your life, and you're pitching yourself to either a specific company or a client that you would like to work with in the future, okay? So that's going to be a 3 to 4 minute audio visual presentation that you're putting together, pitching yourself to a company or a client. Okay, you're going to have a very specific audience for this presentation. So in that time, you're going to be doing a lot of research about what you will be learning throughout the next couple of years during your degree program. And we're going to start all of this next week, but I'm just giving you a big idea here. You're going to talk about why it is that you're passionate about your industry, how it is that you are qualified to be working with this particular audience, and what it is that you will need. Okay, so I will be sending you guys a couple examples of final projects. They're student examples. A lot of them are students that have been in my class. So they've given me permission to share their final projects with you. So you have a really nice idea of what's coming down the pipe here. You have an idea of what it is that you're working towards throughout the month. Again, it will be a 3 to 4 minute audio visual presentation that you will be working towards pitching yourself to a company or a client as if you've just graduated from your degree program. Okay. As I mentioned, we'll start kind of building out the steps in order to create that final project next week. But this week, we're not really going to get into the final project. We're going to this week focus more on being attentive audience members, if you will. Okay, so any questions at this point about the final project? I just wanted, again, I want to give you guys a brief overview of what it is that you're working towards. Obviously, it is a presentation, but there is a lot to cover between now and then, so I wouldn't answer every single question because that will be a lot of what we're talking about the next couple of weeks. But did anybody have any questions about the final project at this point? Not seeing anybody having any questions at this point. So great. All right, guys. So in the midst of that, as I think it was Jacob, you asked that question of what is a good tutorial. These are some great presentation software programs that I would suggest getting to know or refining in the next couple of weeks. So Matthew, you're asking, can you use Prezi? Absolutely. I encourage you to use Prezi. You do have to be able to record your voice within the program, and I know that Prezi allows you to do that. And these programs also allow you to use visuals along with an audio narration. So get to know, if you know PowerPoint, maybe it's a great time for you to shift and move towards something different. I love this program called Adobe Spark. I think it puts together a really phenomenal professional end product. And it's available to you for free. You don't have to have a software. You can use it online. So that's another one. But if you're really comfortable with PowerPoint, you're good to go. I see PowerPoint presentations all of the time. Matthew's also saying you can embed a video. So these programs are quite powerful where they allow you to incorporate embedded video. They allow you to incorporate audio. You can put a background track with them. So I really will encourage you guys to start learning more and more about these presentation softwares. Unfortunately, it's not part of the 4-week curriculum for me to teach all of these programs. So that's why I encourage you to use lynda.com and go through the tutorials there because there's so much to learn with all of these programs. But it is expected that you use some kind of presentation software when it comes to presenting your final pitch that is going to be due in the next couple of weeks. All right, so a little bit about our textbooks. So why Resonate and Slideology? Okay, so these are very visually appealing textbooks. They're written by Nancy Duarte. She's won many awards for presentation, design, and delivering presentations. Strong woman, CEO of her own company. She really just knows what she's talking about. So she's got these 2 books that we are using as our textbooks from this course. And I think they're pretty easy to read, easy to follow along with. A lot of visuals here, a lot of multimedia attached to them. So you can kind of go out and venture out to learn a little bit more about that. There is the multimedia version of Resonate at resonate.duarte.com if you would like to visit that. And again, these 2 books can be accessed through the Safari Books link within the FSO platform, okay? So that's really the books. Matthew's saying that resonates so far, what you've read is good, so I'm glad to hear that. So dive into the textbooks. We're really going to be looking at Resonate first this week, and then we'll include Slideology next week. Slideology is all about the visual aspect of the presentation. All right, guys, so I'm going to start talking about your assignments that are due this week. This does take a little bit of time, but I want to be sure that you have clear instruction and direction of where to go for these assignments so that you can be successful, okay? So here is a quick snapshot of what it is that you have due this week. So like I said about an hour ago, that traditionally your due dates are going to be on Sunday nights. Okay, but since we're getting a late start because of the new year, your deadlines this week are going to be Tuesday, January 9th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so we're going to be a little bit off track this week, but starting in week 2, we're going to be right back on track with Sunday deadlines. But for week number 1, your deadline is going to be January 9th, which is next Tuesday. So this is what you have to accomplish this week, the 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4 assignments. And as you can see, some of the assignments don't have a weight, and some of the assignments do have a weight, okay? So you need to be sure, though, that you've completed everything listed in here to get credit for going through and completing each of the assignments. So the one thing that I wanted to mention to you, other than your Tuesday deadlines, is going to be the 1.3 presentation history. It's a discussion board. Emily, you're asking that question right now. So when I get back to that, I'm going to mention this several times, but you have 2 deadlines for that particular assignment. You must make an initial post by Friday, usually by midnight, okay? So Friday, January 5th at midnight, you must make the initial post. And then by January 9th, you need to be sure that you've gone back in and you've made 2 reply posts to the discussion board. And I'll show you that with screenshots and everything in a moment. But I wanted you to be aware that there's 2 deadlines for the 1.3 presentation history discussion board, okay? Again, guys, the platform shuts down and doesn't allow you to submit your work after 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, okay? So remember the deadlines, remember the time zones, all of those things will apply and become a factor on Tuesday, January 9th. All right, so let me go through these in much more detail here. So the 1.1 go-to training is what we're covering right now. So all I want you guys to do, if you're here live, thank you again for being here live, is to go back into this section of the platform and mark that you have completed this activity. Okay, if you're going to be watching it, or if you are watching the recording, make sure that you go back into the platform and check that you've completed this here. This is also the section where I will go in and change the verbiage here from the registration link. I will change it over to the recording. Okay, so I will not only send you an announcement with the recording, but I will also add the link to the recording here in this section as well, a couple of hours after the conclusion of our live session here. Okay, so be sure that you've marked as completed this activity. All right, 1.2, this is going to be your readings for the week. So right now, in week number 1, we are just concentrating on the Resonate textbook, okay? So you need to cover chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7 of the Resonate textbook. And to make it easy this week, I'm just going to ask that you guys mark as completed here, okay? You don't have to do anything extra, kind of that honor system once again. So once you've completed the reading, just go in and mark as completed here. Those 2 are pretty simple to get those done. All right, so the 1.3 presentation history discussion. This is your first weighted assignment, okay? It's 5% of your overall course grade, and this is the assignment where you have 2 due dates, all right? So again, with the discussion board, the 1.3 discussion board, your first or initial post is due on Friday, January 5th, okay? So that means you need to go into the discussion board, complete your initial post, and then by Tuesday of next week, January 9th, you need to make at least 2 replies to your classmates, okay? And I'll show you everything you need to include in that. But those are the 2 due dates for the 1.3 assignment, Friday, this upcoming Friday, and Tuesday. All right, so For your first discussion, this is really kind of mimicking a class discussion, if you will. So we don't leave this open for extenuous amounts of time. So once the discussion is closed, it's closed. I can't reopen it for you guys if you're late. It is meant to kind of be a real-time discussion over the course of a couple of days. So please be sure that you've completed this within the appropriate time frame before the due date. Okay, so our first discussion is really going to kind of focus on your past experiences, some of your thoughts, fears if you have them about public speaking, all about presentations and your history with presentations and public speaking. All right, so that's what this whole discussion is all about, just kind of getting to know where everybody is on this spectrum of either liking or disliking public speaking and your experiences with it thus far. So again, your initial post, your first post is due Friday night. So if you could have that in by midnight, I would appreciate that. So this is meant to be fun, open up a little bit, get to know your classmates a little bit more. It's really kind of just talking all about you and your experiences. So what you'll do is you'll write at least one post here in the completion area. All right, that's where you'll put the initial post. And then you can go into the discussion board and you can read your classmates' post. And I do expect that you reply to at least 2 of your classmates. You'll also see that I've already put an initial post in there as well if you haven't been into the platform yet. But I do have my own initial post in there as well. So once you've done that, you've completed the initial post and the 2 replies, you will see the green check mark within the FSO platform showing that you've completed this assignment. All right, so again, it's 5% of your grade. Let me show you the downloads here. This is where the instructions are going to be and everything that you need to complete for the 1.3 discussion. Okay, so this is part of the PDF instructions here. So this is all about your presentation history. All right, so that's going to be important here. I want you to share where it is that you're coming from, all of the maybe you've had some great experiences with public speaking. Maybe you've not had some great experiences. I'd like you to share that with all of us. So on the second page here are the instructions and what I would like you to include in your initial post. All right, so in the discussion board this week, I want you to explore a couple of the following prompts. So you need to answer at least 2 of these 3 prompts here in your initial post. One is to describe your level of comfort delivering presentations. You can do it on a scale of 1 to 10 if you wanted to. It could be, I'm very comfortable, I'm very uncomfortable, or I'm kind of, in the middle, I'm moderate, whatever it happens to be. But tell me why it is that you feel the way that you do about delivering presentations. Next, discuss a public speaking experience that you remember. Was it good? Was it bad? What did you learn from this experience? Next, discuss a time when you've created a visual presentation. Okay, it could be PowerPoint, it could be a Prezi. What were your challenges with this? What did you do well? What did you learn from this experience? Okay, so be sure that you've answered those prompts as well as these 2 prompts below. What would you like to learn from the class? And what do you think that you need to improve upon in your presentation skills? Okay, so those, where the yellow box is and where the green box is, those are going to be the prompts that I would like you to respond to for your initial post, which is due on Friday. If you've already gone into the discussion board and you've already maybe made a post, that's fine. You can go back and edit it, no problem. But I do look to be sure that you're answering the majority of these prompts in your initial post, okay? So again, that's due by Friday night. So what I also want you to do is to go back and visit the discussion board regularly, okay? Because I want you interacting with your classmates. So you must complete at least 2 reply posts for your for your classmates, okay? So you need to go back and talk with your classmates a little bit more. And I'm going to show you what I am expecting from those reply posts, all right? It's not just, hey, great job, or I totally relate to you. I want you to go in depth here. So make sure you've done your initial post and you've got 2 reply posts to your classmates. And here's what I'm expecting that you use for the replies. All right, so this is called the RISE model, and this kind of gives you a guide for coming up with great constructive feedback when you're coming to interact with your classmates, okay? So RISE is an acronym. It stands for reflect, inquire, suggest, and elevate. All right. So first I'd like you to just reflect on your classmates' post, okay? Maybe say, yeah, I completely related to that experience, or you know what, I've never really experienced something like that. Thanks for sharing that with us. Next, I want you to inquire. And this is really what I'm looking for, because inquiring keeps the conversation moving, okay? So I am looking for you to ask your classmate a question. Hey, tell me more about this experience, or tell me why it is that you hated that so much, and or tell me what made you so successful at making that PowerPoint, something like that. So reflect and inquire. And then after that, you could suggest or elevate, maybe based on your own experience, give them suggestions or feedback on how to improve in that situation. Okay, so I am looking for a pretty meaty response, not just, hey, yeah, I totally agree with you. Thanks for sharing. Not something that basic. Okay, I really am looking for you to put some time and energy and effort into the response to your 2 classmates, at least 2. I would love to see you interact with everyone, but at least 2 to get the best grade for this assignment. So for the grade, as I just mentioned, there's a grading rubric. And if your rubric looks like this, there's something wrong with it, because you don't have the Adobe Reader. So if you pull up your grading rubric and you've got all these crazy circles, I want you guys to visit and get the Adobe Reader at get.adobe.com/reader, and then your rubric will look like it should, which is like this, okay? So for the first discussion post, this is what your grading rubric will look like, okay? And this is what I'm looking for in grading. This is my criteria. You have it right in front of you, so you can use this as a checklist, if you will. But it's a 2-page rubric, and I'm looking for these particular sections. I'm looking for the relevance, the rationale, the contribution to learning, and then on the next page is mechanics, okay? And I'm grading you on a scale of exemplary to accomplished to developing to beginning. So everyone's, of course, going to strive for that exemplary category, okay? That's going to give you the maximum amount of points, all right? But if, there's something missing in here and I can't put you into that exemplary category, the point deductions start to happen, all right? So for this, I want to see, for the relevance, that you're posting content related to the discussion topic, okay? You've got those prompts that I'm expecting you to follow and answer in the initial post. For the rationale, I'm expecting you to express your opinions and ideas in a really clear and concise manner, staying within the topic, okay? I'm also expecting that you provide some good amount of detail for the explanations, okay? Nothing that's going to be short and vague. I do want to see some detail with that initial post. The contribution to the learning community. This is where those 2 reply posts come into play. So if you have a phenomenal initial post, but you don't reply to anybody, that's going to be an automatic deduction of 30 points, which is a 70 out of 100, which at Full Sail is a D, just because you didn't reply to anybody, okay? So this is 30% of this grade for this assignment is you connecting and replying to your classmates. So be sure that you don't forget that part and you come back and you use the RISE model and you've replied to at least 2 of your classmates. And then lastly is the mechanics. That's going to be where that college level writing standard comes into play. A spell check has been run, no lowercase i's by themselves, capitalization, punctuation, grammar, spelling, all of that is correct for this particular assignment, okay? So that's the grading rubric, and you guys have access to that within the platform to see how it is that I grade that assignment. All right, so again, guys, here's just kind of a recap of the 1.3 assignment. Please be sure, Austin, Star Wars, please be sure that you've posted your initial post by the deadline, which is Friday. Excuse me, guys. Answer all of those prompts that are listed in the PDF instructions. Use that RISE model. Be sure you're using that RISE model, and you've replied to at least 2 of your classmates as well. And you'll do phenomenal on this particular assignment, okay? So any questions about the 1.3 discussion board? Anything before we move on? Thank you, Matthew. It's starting to, I'm so sorry I'm coughing. I really feel horrible. Oh, it's just not good. If you've been screaming at a college bowl game, that's not what you should do with a sore throat. That's not what you should do. So any questions, guys? Matthew, what do you mean? Any idea what it was? Like me being sick? Oh, it's probably my sons. They bring home all sorts of crap from elementary school and middle school and the little aliens that I've given birth to. That's what it is. Christina, I'm glad you're feeling better about that. Great. Wonderful. Okay, so any questions about the 1.3 assignment before I move on to the 1.4, which takes a little bit of time to get through? David, I would ask you, you're saying, do we need to address the entire RISE model? I would say yes, put in the effort to go all the way up through the R, I, S, and E. But really in the first week, I'm a little bit more lenient, but I am looking for you to inquire. That's the R and the I is really where I want to give that full exemplary credit. Is making sure that you're asking questions and spawning that conversation to continue going on. But absolutely keep going. And, if you wanted to, give suggestion for improvement on that, that's continuing that RISE model. But thank you for asking that. Good question. Let me think. Let me see here. Austin's giving me all sorts of advice. Thank you, Austin. Emily, in the future, will the initial post be due on Friday? Emily, good question. Okay. So in the future, no. The initial posts are going to be due. It's usually due on Wednesday, but I give you guys till Thursday. Okay. So some instructors are very strict and give you till Wednesday. I give you guys till Thursday, especially next week, because next week's going to push you guys out of your boxes quite a bit, and I want to give you extra time. But that's for week number 2. For week number 1, because of the new year, we have until Friday. But traditionally, it's going to be due on Thursday. Some of you, if you have friends taking the same course, I mean, maybe you don't have friends because you're online, they're actually in the same course right now. You wouldn't know that. But some instructors do Wednesday. Some of us do Thursday. I do Thursday because I'm nice like that. So, oh, Matthew. Okay, good. You got that. Let me see. David, I didn't mean, David, as that was coming out of my mouth, I knew that's how that was going to be interpreted, and I hopefully did not mean it that way and corrected myself. Not that you don't have any friends. It's that I keep, you guys are online, so of course, it's not the same as being on campus. That's all I meant. I know you have friends. Tears. I should just close it up and go home. Just call it a day. Yeah, Emily. Okay, I saw that. Okay, so why there's 2 due dates and the FSO platform only shows the 9th is because the discussions are left open. So I'm looking for the initial post. I don't want the discussion board to close because we leave it open so that you guys can make those reply posts. That's why it doesn't have the 2 solid due dates within the platform. That's just something that we kind of look for as instructors and see when that initial post was made. So that's why you're not seeing that in there. Casey, yes, I am at home. You are home. Yeah. Yeah, I am at home right now in my home office doing that. Thank goodness. So any other questions, guys, with the 1.3? With the 1.3 discussion? All right, I am going to move on to the 1.4, and this is where I have some examples to show you guys as well. So this is going to be your main assignment, and I have not corrected this slide. Okay, so this says due this Sunday. We're going to pretend that's not there because this is due on Tuesday. Okay, I totally forgot to correct that on my slide. I'm sorry about that, you guys. So this is the 1.4 professional presentation analysis. It is 15% of your grade. So yes, this is a big chunk of your grade. It's your major assignment this week. It is due on Tuesday, January 9th. Okay, so we're just gonna pretend that Sunday isn't there and pretend it says Tuesday right now because I forgot it. So all right, so then remember a couple of minutes ago when I said if you've not seen TED Talks, you're going to get familiar with them. So in this assignment, this is all about becoming an audience member, okay? So in order for you guys to really figure out what it is to connect with an audience, you first have to sit in the audience's seat, right? You have to figure out and analyze what is it that resonated with you? Was it something particular that spoke to you, or was there something that really just kind of turned you off and made your attention span go away? And that's why we want you to watch these TED Talks. So if you've never seen a TED Talk, you might easily get addicted, and it's kind of like a little wormhole that you're going to go down. But what it is TED.com is this, this huge database of people delivering presentations. And they're all usually very short, 20 minutes or under. Some of them are like 5 or 10 minutes. But you could probably go and search any topic that you could think of, gaming or music. I'm a communications girl, so I always look into all the communication stuff, especially like the interpersonal and relationship stuff. I love that. Christina, you're saying you love TED Talks too. So you can choose any topic that you like, but you need to watch 3 different TED Talks, okay? So you can choose talks that really captivate you, something that, just something that really resonates with you. I would like you to watch a topic that you are interested in. Don't just choose something just because it's there. Like put a little bit of effort in there and figure out what it is about that presentation that did or did not speak to you as an audience member. All right, so here are the instructions for the TED Talk assignment. All right, so a couple of you guys are talking about some really great TED Talks that you've watched. The Columbine one comes up quite a bit with students. That tends to resonate with a lot of students, and I can see why. But there's several that come up month after month, and they're just phenomenal ones. So this is, if you've never watched any TED Talks before, this is a great introduction to seeing some phenomenal speakers about some great topics, okay? So here's what I want you to do, and there's several steps. There's 3 steps that you must complete for the successful completion of this assignment. Okay, so first and foremost, I want you to watch a minimum of 3 different TED Talks, okay? And you can find those at TED.com. And you're answering the overall question of what makes a presentation effective, creative, captivating, and or inspiring, all right? So you can choose, like I said, any topic that you would like. So pick something that you're interested in, go to the TED site, put a topic in there and see what starts to populate and what types of presentations start to come up for you. So this is what I would like you guys to do. I want you to answer these prompts here within your analysis, all right? You're going to complete 3 separate analyses, all right? Not summaries, analyses of these TED Talks, all right? Use these prompts to guide you through the analysis process, okay? So as you're watching these TED Talks, you need to answer these questions as you're completing an analysis. Why was this presentation powerful or moving? Why did you like this presentation? Was it the content alone, or was it how the speaker delivered the content? Matthew, what's your question? What's the hotkey for a screenshot? It's Shift-Command-4 on my Mac. I don't know what it is on something else. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the instructions here. What made the content appealing? What made it relatable? Okay. How did the speaker draw you in to care about the topic? This is going to come from the way that the speaker delivered the information, their body language, their voice, their facial expressions, all of that's going to come into play here. What did you get out of the presentation that you would not have experienced reading an article about the topic? What kinds of emotions did the presenter elicit, and how did they do this? So as you can see, if you use these 6 prompts, you're really diving into an analysis of these TED Talks. You can use just a bit of summary information telling us what the speaker was talking about, but I'm much more interested in that you complete this assignment looking at the execution of the presentation. How is it that they delivered this presentation? What made you feel captivated, or maybe you didn't feel captivated as an audience member, but I want you delving into that mindset as opposed to a summary. Okay, so that's going to be step number 1, and you'll do that for 3 different TED Talks, all right? 3 separate analyses, 3 separate TED Talks. Step number 2. All right, so once you've created the document for this assignment, you need to include supporting visual imagery, all right? So a lot of times my students use screenshots of the speaker You can also use, some different images that complement the content of the presentation as well. And I'll show you some examples here, but I would like you to include visual imagery to complement each of the TED Talks here. All right. Step number 3, and a lot of students forget this step, so please don't forget this step or else it's incomplete. Step number 3, conclude your assignment with your own list of 10 qualities, techniques, and or presentation skills that made the presentation that you've watched inspiring. Okay, so you need to come up with a comprehensive list of 10 items that make a presentation effective or captivating, whatever you want to call it there. But those, you also need to support that list of 10 with examples coming from your 3 TED Talks that you've chosen. All right. So you're going to have one cohesive document. Within that document, you'll have 3 separate analyses. You'll have a visual image for each analyses. And then you will also include one comprehensive list of 10 qualities. Okay, so let me show you 2 examples, guys. Let me see. Okay, so this is from a student of mine. Can you guys see my screen? It should say TED on it. You shouldn't be seeing okay, great. All right, so this is a program called Adobe Spark, all right? So they have a couple of options here. You can use a Pages option, which is what this is, and this was done by Lisa Muse, great student of mine, I think from the summertime, and she uses the Pages option. Adobe Spark also has a video option, which is wonderful for your final project later on. But this really puts together a phenomenal professional presentation end product here, okay? So here's an example. All right, so her first analysis is from John Legend, okay? So she includes great analysis information, very clear, very organized, great images that she's included here that complement her TED Talk, all right? So quite thorough. She's answered all of the prompts, which is wonderful. The next one talks about the agony of trying to unsubscribe. I'm sure we've all been through that. I go through that daily in my email box. So she talks about this one with the analysis of that TED Talk. And then lastly, finding true love with these 36 scientifically proven questions. So she talks about that TED Talk and now analyzes this one here for us. So those are her 3 analyses. There's step 1 and 2 that she's included in the 1.4 assignment. Here's her top 10 list, okay? So she points out that humor is a great icebreaker, and she's taking examples going back directly to that particular TED Talk and how that presenter used humor. All right, educating your audience with factual information. Again, she provides specific examples from the TED Talks. And as you can see, this is one comprehensive list of 10 items, okay? So that is a great example from one of my past students. That's using Adobe Spark. So I wanted to show you another one, looks completely different. This is from Tara. She was in my last month, and this one really just blew me away. This was a phenomenally done presentation for the 1.4. She did a fantastic job, okay? So hers looks a bit different here, but she's got all of the required elements. She's telling me who the title of the TED Talk. She's telling me the speaker. She's got the visual elements. She's very thorough in her analysis here. It goes on a couple of pages. Okay, so she's got a couple of these here. She's got great, powerful, crisp visuals. Yeah, Matthew's saying, oh, wow. So yeah, this one really impressed me, and this is A+ work that I wanted to show you guys. Again, that Columbine shooter, the one that a couple of you guys mentioned in here, that one comes up quite a bit. So here's an example. Here's her 10 qualities. Now, she went above and beyond with the 10 qualities and included an image for each of the 10 qualities. So this one is very impressive to me. I thought she did an amazing job. I think she said she created a lot of the images on her own in PowerPoint. I'm not expecting you to go that far, but I wanted to show you a great example. So she's got her list of 10. She went above and beyond and included an image for each of these. So that's going to be another great example to show you. 2 completely different programs, but completing the assignment successfully, okay? So that is the 1.4 assignment. Let me go back into my keynote here. and tell you guys about the grading for this assignment, all right? Okay, so again, you have access to my rubric. This is a 2-page rubric. I'll show you the second page in a moment. But again, I'm grading on a scale of exemplary to accomplished to developing to beginning. And so here's what I'm looking for, that you have met all of the project requirements, steps 1, 2, and 3. So if you're missing, the visual elements, it's not complete. Or if you're missing the list of 10 qualities, it's not complete. So you need to be sure that you've completed all of the steps for this assignment. You also need to be sure under critical thinking that the content is precise, in depth, and well explained. So I am looking for a thorough analysis. Use those prompts in the assignment instructions as your guide to completing the analysis. Relevance. Assignment content is directly related to the course materials, something coming from the Resonate textbook, from maybe some of the extra videos, the articles, from the lectures that we're talking about here. Really kind of tie it back, be very explicit about that, tie it back to the materials for this course. Lastly, I'm going to be looking at, again, the mechanics, the college level writing standards. It is a writing assignment, so be sure you've gone through all of the checks that you need to go through. And then lastly, that the visual components enhance the main points of the presentation, okay? So there's that visual element with the delivery that is included in here, okay? So that's 15% of your grade is the 1.4 assignment. It is due on Tuesday, January 9th. Okay, so you guys have a little extra time with that. It's not due Sunday, it is due this Tuesday, January 9th. All right, so you've had a couple of examples, you've had the instructions. Do you guys have any questions for me at this point about the 1.4 assignment? And also, guys, the 2 examples that I showed you, I do ask my students if I see something that really stands out to me. I ask them for their permission to use their work as examples. So they have graciously allowed me to do so, but please be sure that you are very aware that I'm giving these to you as examples, not for you to include this in your own work whatsoever. That would be plagiarism, okay? So be very respectful of the fact that they are allowing you to use these as examples. Casey, visual elements, but you did not specifically state that the visual element has to be an image. It does not have to be an image, Casey. It can be something that is complementing the content. So if you wanted to use an image, that's great. If you wanted to use your own, maybe you've created your own. Maybe it's an animation, or it's some kind of drawing that you've created that you think would go along with that. That's acceptable. But some type of visual imagery to complement and enhance the presentation. Does that make sense, Casey? Okay, great. Matthew, trying to keep track with stuff here. Just want to make sure this is over the first book. Yeah, right now, Matthew, we're only concentrating on the Resonate textbook, which is the first of the 2 that we have here in the class. So right now for week number 1, just concentrate on Resonate. I think it was chapters 1 through 4 and 7 this week. So any other questions about the 1.4 assignment? And as always, guys, I'm available. If you have questions come up as you start delving into the assignment, if something pops up, just shoot me a message. If you want to turn it in early, I am more than happy to take a look at that. Usually I ask you guys to turn things in early by Friday if you want my feedback. And so you have time to kind of make revisions for the final grade. So if you guys could get something to me by Friday, I would appreciate that. I don't traditionally work on the weekends. Sometimes I might pop in and check in, but I don't traditionally do work over the weekends. That's my time with my kiddos. Matthew, it's always good. Yeah, okay, great job. Yes, always good to ask questions, absolutely. So any other questions about the 1.3 or the 1.4 assignment right now? Excuse me. All right, guys, if something does come up, I will have a little bit of time at the conclusion of our live session today. So if something came up, or you're just like, oh, I forgot to ask for this, we can hold that till the end here. So I wanted to cover a little bit of content before we break for the day. It's a lot of material, I know. So let's move into a little bit of information from our Resonate and Slideology text. So again, these are fantastic, easy reads. They really are. So once you start kind of delving into these, I think you'll really start to enjoy them. So as I told you, I've been at Full Sail for a year, so I've come from a more traditional college setting. And so as you can imagine that the books that we use there were kind of boring, wow, shocker, right? But these two books are very much a nice change of pace from those boring traditional college textbooks. Okay, so Nancy Duarte is the author of both of these textbooks, and she teaches professionals really how to give presentations. And I'll include her highlight reel in my follow-up message that I'm going to send to you guys later today. She does a great job within her textbooks of delivering the information. And Resonate is all about how to tell a story, because that's what really connects us to people and connects us to audiences, okay? It's through storytelling, okay? How does she do this? Well, she takes the audience and she makes them the hero and the central focus of the presentation, okay? So that might be very different, a very different perspective than you've ever, been through if you've been through a speech class or anything like that. Traditionally, the focus was all about the speaker, right? And that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure on the speaker. So really instead, change your perspective, change your focus, and focus on the audience, getting to know the audience, interacting with them, connecting with them, and making sure that they are the central focus and the hero of that presentation. So we'll also take a focus on story structure, a really clear beginning, a middle, and an end, the basics of story structure. When we move into slideology, that's all about the slide aesthetics and how to make them visually appealing for the audience, okay? Because a lot of us are visual learners, right? I'm a visual learner. I'm also a kinesthetic learner. So you really need to start learning how to connect with your audience on all different levels, all right? So slideology helps you do that, connect with your audience visually. So that's what these two textbooks are really all about. And we'll start to really delve into these, especially slideology, next week and in week 3 as well. So let's talk a little bit about something that some of us love and some of us hate, okay? Change, right, is the only thing that we can count on. So companies that learn to thrive in like a chronic flux are the ones that are going to be successful, all right? Okay, there's millions of examples of this, okay? Those of us that can thrive on change are going to be the ones that thrive in our industries and our careers. But if we stay stuck in what we know and we don't move forward, that's going to be a problem, okay? So in industry and art, you must thrive on change. So here's the example that I normally give to my students, because I think it's one that all of you guys can relate to, okay? So a company, we're going to kind of have a company that had change come in front of them and couldn't grasp with it, and we'll talk about what's happened to them now here in the present, okay? So back in my day, when, like 5 years ago when I was like 20, the Friday night activity was to go down to Blockbuster, right? And we would rent a movie. We'd rent a VHS, maybe 2, and we'd rent a movie at Blockbuster with our blue and yellow Blockbuster card, and that would be our weekend activity, right? That's how we absorbed media. That's how we got smooth. That's how we watched movies, right? But at one point, a while ago, this company all of a sudden did this weird home delivery, DVDs are coming in the mail, delivered to our house, and then we'd send them back. And I, even when that came out, I'm like, what in the world is this? Like, I'm going to Blockbuster. I'm going to get my stuff. I don't want to wait a couple of days. I want my thing right now. I want it right now. So as you can tell, Blockbuster at one point had offers to purchase Netflix. Did they do it? No, because they were like, this isn't gonna fly. This is just some fly-by-night thing. Not gonna buy them. We're here to stay. They'll brick and mortar stores. This is the way of the world, right? Who's standing tall today? Who is the giant today? It certainly isn't Blockbuster, right? Definitely not Blockbuster. I think there's even a Twitter account that's like the last remaining Blockbuster, and it's hilarious. But Netflix took over because the way that people were absorbing media was changing. The world was changing, and Blockbuster couldn't thrive with that change. They couldn't see the potential. They couldn't see the horizon, okay? And so, at this point, we now think of Netflixing as a verb, right? It's a verb. We use this term so easily in our lives, and Blockbuster is a thing of the past, okay? So that's just one of many, many, many examples on businesses and companies and industries that can mesh and flow with the changes are going to be the ones that are successful, okay? So back to you guys, being human and taking risks are really the foundation of creative results, okay? So sometimes change is scary, sometimes change is uncertain, but it is going to be vital for success, all right? All right, so I want to talk a little bit about storytelling, all right? So what elements are needed for storytelling? What are the basic elements of telling a great, successful story? We need to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? It needs to be organized, all right? Think about it. Sometimes when you're listening to someone tell a story and they keep going on and on and on, like my son, sometimes they tell me a story, especially my little one, and he's like, and then, and you're like, oh my gosh, is this thing ever going to end? And you don't know because you want to figure out where you are in that story, okay? So you need to tell a story with a clear beginning, middle, and end. Same with creating a professional presentation. You need to have an organization. An organized message is one that is memorable. It is one that is easy to understand and comprehend. So at its core, a story must have a clear beginning, a middle, and an end. But what else makes a story interesting? What else keeps you hooked? What else keeps you invested in that story? What else is there? Emotions, absolutely. Those crazy emotions that we have. David, emotional response. A relatable experience. Absolutely, Jacob. What else do we need in here to have a relatable, interesting story? Conflict, absolutely. Something has to go wrong, and there has to be conflict resolution as well. David, it has to be personable. Good character description, a relatable protagonist. You guys, absolutely great things. You need to have an identifiable structure, identifiable characters, a buy-in, okay? So you want to be sure that when you're telling your story, which we'll get into our own emotional storytelling assignment next week, you want to be sure that you include some of these items because this is what connects us with other people, those stories that connects us and makes us memorable and makes us say, you know what, I really understand what he or she is saying as they're speaking right now. Okay, so these elements are needed to be successful with storytelling, but it's a fantastic connection point with your audience as well. All right, so have you ever felt this way that I'm showing you here in this picture? Hopefully you're not feeling this way right now. So let's talk about being an audience. Have you ever felt trapped as an audience member? Austin, I can tell you love Star Wars, and I'm going to admit something to you guys right now. I hate Star Wars. I just don't like it. I probably have lost all of the class, but I know. I've never, Jordan, oh my God, I haven't seen them. I've seen like 15 minutes of the first one. I'm like, this is just, I can't take it. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I know you are. Anyway, okay, back to the lecture. Okay, at least I have some honest students in here that are saying they don't like it either. Okay, cool. All right, anyway, back on track. Okay, so I don't ever want you guys to feel like you are a trapped audience member, and I don't ever want you guys to make your audience feel trapped as well. That's the last thing that you want to have happen, okay? So you want your audience to be engaged, all right? You want them to be entertained. You want them to be just included in the entire process. Make it an active process, not a passive process. So in your time in speaking, you want to get to know your audience, right? You need to segment them and you need to do some research about them. And you need to know what type of audience you're about to encounter, all right? And there's 4 types of audiences that you could potentially experience. Okay, so here's the first one. A friendly audience, right? Okay, this is the one that we all want to encounter. So before you go into any kind of a speaking situation or present your information, you want to have a general idea of what the demeanor is, what the mindset is of your audience, okay? And we all want number one here. We want the friendly audience, okay? So think of speakers like Tony Robbins or Dave Ramsey or one of my favorite people, John Gottman. And people pay a ton of money to see them and learn from them. So of course they're going to have a very friendly demeanor about them, okay? So the goal here is to keep the environment friendly, to give the audience what they want to hear. Emily is saying Dave Ramsey is not nice. Is that because Dave Ramsey is not allowing you to spend your money, Emily? He'll get you out of debt though, right? The next audience is going to be an apathetic audience, okay? And this is the type of audience that may not care about your topic, okay? The goal here, when you have an apathetic audience, is to find out and communicate why this information would be important or valuable to them, okay? You need to be sure that you have your audience in mind, okay? How are you going to make that connection? It's by communicating the value of your information to them and why they should think it's important. The next would be the uninformed audience, all right? They may not just have any prior knowledge about your topic, okay? So with an uninformed audience, you might need to start with more of the basics and then move forward from there. You don't want to talk over an uninformed audience, right? You want to be sure that they have a grasp of the foundation, that they have a grasp of the basics before moving on to the more advanced skills, advanced details about the topic. I mean, think about your own classes. I mean, you guys have all of these great classes that you're about to approach, but if you're taking a senior level or master's level game design course and you really don't have the basics down, you're going to be uninformed and that instructor is going to be talking way over your head and you're going to feel lost, okay? So in that situation, it's not an appropriate level of information. You have to go down to the basics and then move up from there, okay? That's how you connect with an uninformed audience. And lastly, we have the hostile audience, okay? Hostile audiences aren't fun. Nobody wants to have a hostile audience, but you still want to try and find common ground with the audience, okay? Possibly come to an agreement about some sort of an issue and then pose your potential solutions for establishing common ground. The key right here is to connect with the audience in a positive way. The one that I think about oftentimes is some kind of political, heated type of environment here. If you're, never mind. I don't even want to go back to last year's election and the craziness of the world right now. But think of that kind of situation where you might have some hostility in the audience. The goal there is to establish some common ground and build from that point on forward. Okay. So some other questions to think about. Do you think about how to engage with your audience, all right? Think about the attitude of the audience. Think about the setting. Think about the time of day. All of those things are going to matter when you are trying to figure out who it is that you're speaking to, okay? So really get to know your audience. So which we're going to talk about next here. So getting to know your audience, all right? We're going to now, from here on out, call our audience our hero, okay? So there is a relationship here between the speaker and the audience, and it's a mentor-hero relationship, all right? So the presenter or the speaker is going to be the mentor, all right? They are the ones that share their knowledge and experiences. They give the roadmap to success. The mentor is the one that plants the seed, and the audience is the hero, okay? The audience, our hero, will actually go out and follow the steps and fulfill the mission, okay? They will do the work and take the message to the next step, okay? So say, for instance, it's voting for a candidate, it's buying a product, it's joining my team. So in our class, I am the mentor providing the tools and wisdom for creating an effective presentation, okay? You guys are my audience, you're my heroes, and you guys are gonna do the work and accomplish all of the tasks and the assignments this month. And in your final project, we're going to shift, right? You're going to become the mentor and guide your audience into doing something as a result of your presentation, okay? Kind of like hiring you or joining you or buying, whatever it happens to be. That is what you want to concentrate on. We're going to have a little bit of a shift there. All right. So, like right now, you guys are my heroes. Okay. And I have to put some thought and energy in how it is that I'm going to present information to you and connect with you because you're my students. I want there to be a connection there. Right. So, I need to think about some questions about who you guys are as my audience. And these are the things that I think about and I try to answer for my lectures when I come to try and connect with you over our go-to sessions. Okay. So I like to think about these things, and these are the things that you need to think about as well when preparing a presentation. So first you want to think about their lifestyle, okay? Your lifestyle. When I'm thinking about my heroes, my students, I think that your lifestyles are probably very busy. You're probably juggling several responsibilities at once, probably work, school, family, maybe your multiple jobs, whatever it happens to be, you're probably juggling quite a bit right now. Your knowledge, okay? What is your knowledge about the topic of presentations, okay? More than likely, it's going to be at the beginning level. It's going to be at the beginner to intermediate level because you're not, through the college experience, or maybe you don't do this as a career. So I'm assuming that, you've had some experiences, but you're feeling that you could use a lot of guidance and direction and improving on this skill. What are your motivations? What are your desires? So more than likely your motivation right now is to complete your degree program with success, okay? Your values. So your value system is probably rooted in your family, your friends, and your careers, okay? You probably have a high value for those items in your life. Your influences. Some of your influences are probably going to be someone in the arts. Someone in the arts has inspired you along the way to go down this path. And then lastly is respect. Respect is a big one because audiences want to feel that you are very respectful of them, of their time, of their culture, of their work, of their energy. So more than likely, respect is given and received to my students, my heroes, by listening and showing empathy. Okay, that's how many of you give and receive respect. Okay, so those are just some questions to kind of go through as you're learning about your audience and you're thinking about how to craft a message and connect with your audience as best as you can do it. Okay, so those are some questions to consider. You want to get to know your audience or your hero as best as you can before you deliver any type of presentation. I'm seeing a question from David in the chat box. Okay, for the 1.4, you are our audience. Yes, so David, for that one, yes, you can consider me as your audience for that particular assignment, yes. All right, so how do you relate to the audience? Okay, so this is one quote that I absolutely love and keep in mind, all right? So designing a presentation without an audience in mind is like writing a love letter and addressing it to whom it may concern. And that speaks to me quite a bit because you would never sit down and write to the love of your life, dear so-and-so, right? It's addressed to a very specific person. And you're talking about experiences and stories and qualities that only that person can relate to. Same with your own presentations, okay? It needs to be like you're addressing the audience personally as best that you can. Of course, that can be a challenge sometimes, all right? But it needs to be done as best you can. And once we start moving into week number 2, as you start building out your final presentations, I'm going to ask you guys to choose your audience and research your audience and get to know the culture of the company and who it is that they are and how you can best craft and mold your entire presentation to connect with them, okay? Now, Nancy Duarte does talk about audience segmentation in your Resonate textbook. And she talks about the Challenger disaster. I don't know if any of you guys even remember this, but I was in the 1st grade, lived here in Orlando my whole life, went outside to recess and watched the Space Shuttle Challenger actually explode as a 1st grader on the playground. And I remember that event so clearly being so young, but that's something that she talks about how Ronald Reagan, president at the time, had to address the nation and really pull together multiple audiences into one speech. And he really does this beautifully. So I would say watch that speech, go find it on YouTube, and really kind of look at how Duarte is breaking down the segments of that audience and see how just creatively he was able to address so many different audiences in one particular speech there. So that's a great example of segmenting your audience, which is something I just want you to start to get into gear of. Oh, you guys have your own stories too. You do remember that. It was so long ago, but I can still see those things in the sky. It was just a horrible, horrible day. But I really want you guys to take from today and our lecture today, you really need to start thinking about your audience, okay? Your audience is the hero. They need to be the central focus of every presentation, and you need to be sure that you are relating to them on as an individual level as you possibly can, okay? Yes, Emily, yes, 9/11 was another huge one. So yeah, big, sad, horrible days. But that, just to kind of come back to what we were talking about, guys, with segmenting your audience here. So it is about 3:00. We've gone for 2 hours. I can't believe my voice is still working. Oh my gosh. So I want to just pause here if you guys have any questions whatsoever. If not, you're free to go, and we will meet again next Tuesday from 1 to 3 p.m. But if you want to stay here in the room, I will be on. I'm going to cut the recording off here because it's been 2 hours, but I will stay in the room and answer any questions you guys may have. So you guys have a great day.